Welcome to episode 75 of the Brew Crew Scoop. Unfortunately, it's an off-season edition on the eve of the World Series. The Brewers were eliminated by the Dodgers, as I'm sure everyone knows. But we were not able to touch base in between series, so we can celebrate briefly on this episode the series win over Craig Counsell and the division rival Chicago Cubs. It was an exciting series. The Brewers won in five, and then they were completely outmatched by the Dodgers in the NLCS. So we'll talk about both those series. Probably won't get into the offseason much, but there's a World Series that's almost set that the Brewers will not be a part of. And I guess we'll just talk about our emotions. But
We don't talk about emotions. We're
yeah.
men.
I guess I'll go first. So I'm just gonna
I
do
like that angle, Kian.
yeah, no, I forgot a chair. Game one against the Cubs. So the last time we talked was right before the Cubs series. Game one, it felt so good. It was like a chip off our shoulder, the old Steve Young, get the monkey off my back um type moment where not only did we win, but we scored a ton of runs. Like it felt like holy shit, this is it. And then, the rest of the series was a little bit different, but, you know, going into game five, I think everybody was a little downtrodden after what happened in Chicago, but, you know, it was one of those moments, and this doesn't happen very often, and it didn't happen in the NLCS, but it just seemed like everything was going our way. After the Seiya Suzuki homer in game five, um, it just seemed like from that moment, everything was going our way. And I remember sitting there watching. I was like, we're not going to lose this fucking game. We might actually win. Um, as a thought as a Brewer fan, I'm sure nobody was like, yep, this is it. We're going to win. So it's just kind of one of those, wow, we actually did it type moments. And I heard some Cubs fan, obviously a lot of them are in our mentions and in all Brewers fans mentions, but if you want to call that our World Series, cool, that's fine. It was definitely it was probably the most important series besides NLCS 2018, the most important series in my life. So I was just pretty happy that we got it done and we can hang that over their heads. As much as they want to spin it and say we lost, who cares? We did beat them. That's something to be proud of. And then going into NLCS game one, you had Terang with a chance to win it. And then I believe Jake Bauers is on deck, postseason hero. If we never see Jake Bauers again, I want to thank him. Um, and then game two, which I was at, it was probably the best atmosphere for a Brewers game I've ever been at until the top of the sixth inning. And even with 3-2 count on Max Muncy, it was loud in there. It was awesome. And then I think from that moment on, it was just, uh, it was pretty shit. But I'm still proud of the guys. And obviously, Shohei Ohtani just had like the best performance ever on a baseball field. So I watched one inning of game four, and then my hopes were just crushed. Every time I checked my phone, it felt like he hit another homer. I was watching How to Train Your Dragon live action instead. And it was just tough, man. I saw somebody tweet like it is the least upset I've ever been for like the last 10 years with a postseason loss. And I can't agree more. Like it almost seemed inevitable after losing the first two at home. And Scoop, we talked about how important game three was on the way out of game two. And, you just go in there and you lay a bit of an egg. And then it's like, well, now you have to win two on the road. Game four just seemed odd. And everything worked in the Dodgers' favor. They didn't have to go to the pen in game two at all. They only had to get one inning out of their pen after a masterful performance out of Snell in game one. Game three, it is what it is. In game four, obviously, you had just a masterful performance. And I will say on my last thing is that before game three, I read that Tyler Glasnow he was in the 1 percentile, the first percentile in chase rate. And I think he struck out 8 Brewers in 5 innings or whatever it was. So it's just when you had the chance in game three to get a guy that was kind of in your wheelhouse, if you don't chase him, you're going to get a lot of pitches to hit almost. And they just couldn't do it. So It is what it is. They chased. They couldn't hit what was in the zone. I'm disappointed, but I can't say I'm not surprised. The Dodgers are a juggernaut, and I will state I don't think the Cubs would have done any better. And I've said my piece.
Yeah, no, that was a good way to sum it up, Coach Keane, for sure. And it kind of sucks, like obviously not being able to talk right after that Cubs series because I think it would be a much different conversation. But now it feels so long ago and like just so muted, I think, from the Dodgers series. But it was really fun to attend some. Can you hear my dog behind me or no?
A
No,
little
not
bit.
All
really.
right, good. Because I'm gonna, be
All right,
back in 1 second.
you
You
got
guys
it.
just chat about something.
Well, I can take it from here. So
I hate that guy.
I did want to do I did want to do a real quick breakdown on the games. So just really briefly, obviously everyone watched them, but like you said, game one, it was an immediate homer against the Cubs, I should say, and it was like, here we go again. And then they answered back. Game two, same thing, down three right away, then tied, came right back. Atmosphere is great. Then you go to Wrigley and Quinn Priester puts up a stinker. Um, Thursday, you get dominated, and then you worry that Robert Gasser is just heating up all the bats for the Cubs. But of course, game five, it was great. Miz pitched great innings. He did a couple times in this playoffs. I think we'll probably talk about Miz and Chourio being the brightest spots with Durbin and honorable mention. But yeah, then going into the LA series, game one, they almost stole a game where they got dominated for 8 innings. And then, I should say, dominated at the plate by Dodgers starting pitching, Blake Snell. And they almost still stole one. Unfortunately, Uribe walked in a run. It's a bit overworked, but it's easy to nitpick pitching decisions. We'll talk about Ashby. That's my one qualm, but it's really stinks. I don't know that we still win the series, but had Terang, which I don't blame, I don't think any of you guys blame for getting out of the way. Had he got hit by that pitch, maybe they walk that game off. What do we lose in five then? Or does that spark something? Does that flip the script? I don't know. It's tough for me to still think that we'd lose four in a row after that. But it is what it is. And to your point, Kian, I guess I'll finish my recap. So obviously, they lost game two. It felt close for a while. You said it was a great atmosphere. It was, but unfortunately, just wasn't enough. And then they just looked outmatched by the Dodgers pitching, and then their inability to get in the bullpen. And Shohei Ohtani just having the greatest game of all time. So, but yeah, to your point, Keen, I will say it just was. It was probably the least upset I've been for because of a mix of things. One, they beat Milwaukee's public enemy number one in Craig Counsell. Two, they beat the rival. Three, they had a bye and they won a series. So not only have they not won a series in a while, but it was already a series further than they had been. So getting to the NLCS was a small win. Obviously, we've done it before, and we haven't gotten to the World Series in decades. So it's not a huge win, but for that reason, it was slightly satisfying. And then the fact that you didn't lose in a heartbreaker in game seven. Obviously, I would have preferred they played 7 games, but in terms of swallowing the loss, I mean, they were just completely outmatched. It's hard to maybe I would be so mad at looking back at the ninth inning of game one had they lost in game seven, but it didn't matter. So, and going back to this is a team that we thought may be 500 this year. I hate to play that game with this team because we don't spend a lot of money, and that's the topic of discussion too. But for a team that wasn't supposed to be here at all, to set the franchise record in wins, have a bunch of guys who are on early on rookie deals, um, and the to do what they did, I'm happy with. Which most years I don't want to be just happy with losing in the playoffs, but it was more stomachable. And veterans that were supposed to step up, the guys who we actually paid money. Reese Hoskins wasn't even on the roster. Freddie Peralta was fine, but he was not an absolutely dominant ace that we saw 4 games in a row from the Dodgers. So, yeah, the guys who got it done were the guys making not much money, Chourio and Miz and Durbin and Bowers. So, but yeah, Cole, I just kind of leapfrogged you there. Said my piece, give the
No,
recap.
yeah, you're good. Yeah, yeah. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, the Cubs series. We were at game two together. I know you guys went to, or I think game one, at least Scoop did. And that was just awesome to be there. some big hits. That Vaughn homer, especially from our vantage point, was kind of hard to tell. But just it felt right and kind of felt like this team had all year, a little bit of destiny. So that was awesome. And then, turned into a memorable series. Obviously, you guys both already ran through the events, but watching it with some friends, we were out of town. That's part of why we couldn't recap. Just I don't know, being able to watch it with some friends and watch the game get locked up. It was one of the most. It probably was the best game I've watched as a Brewers fan, I guess. After you saw the result, that or game 163, just because there was so much emotion on that one game. Um, win or go home, both scenarios. So, well, not go home, I guess, in game 163 case. But anyways, um, and then I think riding that high into the Dodgers series, it probably wasn't great for what the team would have to do in the Dodgers series. I
Yeah, quick
think,
turnaround too.
yeah,
It felt so fast, super high emotions, huge celebration. It felt like they went to bed and they woke up and they were in the next game. I feel
yeah,
like.
and it was awesome. Like you can't blame the players for the level of excitement between the celebrations after Contreras' home run or Abner hanging up the phone, stuff like that. And then the on field, we flew the L, the most disrespectful thing ever to happen in the world. But obviously the win meant a lot to these guys. And then they had to come back to earth and then go out and try to face the Dodgers. And like you said, Scoop, I do think it probably looks different if we are able to squeak out that game one win. But after that happened and then seeing what we were up against in the next couple games, yeah, it didn't seem like there was really a chance, even though there obviously was, right? We beat this team every time we played them in the regular season, and we were in every game, but we kind of seemingly changed our approach to the plate, in my opinion, too. I think part of that is their hitting or their pitching, um, but yeah, um, and then I think the one thing I was kind of worried that being blown out in a series against the Dodgers like this would be. I guess overly deflating for the fan base after a year like this, where we were the top team record wise in baseball. People, I mean, honestly, the vibe around the city, there was like a feeling. I was boarding a plane Monday night and watching the game on my phone, and like of the either half the plane had it up on their phone or they were like asking me to raise up my phone so they could see what was happening at the end of game one against the Dodgers. Like there was a ton of buzz about this team and everyone was kind of talking about it, even a lot of friends or like family members that don't really, they don't follow a random Wednesday night game. They were like scheduling their weekend to watch the Brewers. So I think I was a little nervous. Riding the high that we were on all year and then just getting demolished by the Dodgers would deflate people. But it seems like the fan base themselves are just kind of biting the bullet and getting over it, which I guess is good. But yeah, I guess that was my biggest concern even prior to the Dodgers series. Is I really just didn't want to get embarrassed, I guess, and have people feel like it's impossible to beat the big market teams. And it seems like that's kind of what happened. But I don't think that means people give up hope once next year starts. So I don't think it's like the end of the world. But yeah, it just sucks. We couldn't bask a little bit more in what was the Cubs series, and instead it's
Yeah,
just
I think it's a much different story if they don't beat the Cubs in Game 5. Like the vibes, to your point, is just the city was buzzing around here. I don't know that would have been the case if they lost in the first round, quote unquote, again, second round technically. But yeah, it felt good to, like Keane said, get the monkey off the back a little bit. And I will just touch on for 2 seconds the elf like thing that you talked about. Obviously, is a big topic of discussion. There are some things that Cubs fans say that like bug me, like the fact we've never been to a well, never won a World Series, never been to one in forever. But I genuinely am not. The L flag after we lost did not bother me. I feel like I don't get it. But I
well, it
also
should have
want
been the W flag. Then it would have been
sure.
cool.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. But either way, it doesn't I don't know. But I think what some Cubs fans don't understand, and I genuinely am meaning this in a nice way, is I don't even think it was about the Cubs with some of these players. I think for some of these players, it was about Craig Counsell, whether it was serious or not, whether they're trolling them. These are half the team was coached by the manager who ditched them for the division rival. Like these celebrations. I don't know that I remember in like 2018, the Brewers talking about, yeah, we don't hate anyone on the Cubs. The fans hate each other. And I would believe that none of the players on the Brewers really hate any of the players on the Cubs. I think it's more so just, if anything, it just has to do with Greg. So, anyways, whatever. It didn't bother me. I'm just happy we won that series. So,
Yeah, and there's so many Cubs fans that think like the Brewers like had this plan, this L flag was like in the dug. Like they think this was some predetermined thing. From what I've gathered, some random Brewers fan had it and was like holding it up right before the picture. And I think it was Jake Bowers ran
yeah,
over and
Bowers.
grabbed it. Like this is a split second decision, something that he probably thought would be funny and didn't think anything of it. And now it's coming like blown up. Like the Cubs fans are just, you would have thought we shot like the president or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I've never seen people crash out like this in my entire life
Well,
over a photo.
I will say I know sane, reasonable Cubs fans. One of them listens to this podcast. The the fans on Twitter are not a good representation all the time of fan bases because yeah, our mentions were flooded with stupid shit like that. Um, the people who do that shit on Twitter behind a screen are like they're the scum of the earth. Honestly, I didn't say one peep during the Dodgers series on our Twitter page because I didn't have any reason to, and that's just not the type of page we run, anyways. And we got hundreds of comments after, like, I would post a highlight, they'd be like, "Then what happened?" Or I posted Chourio homer after we were eliminated. Yeah, well, you're eliminated. Okay, like it was. Dodger fans are worse than Cubs fans in my mentions, but in
Dodgers
general,
fans,
the people sitting in their parents' basement, firing off tweets. To people who aren't starting fights, I'm not too concerned about them anyways. So
they're just trying to get a reaction out of you, Scoop. You just
I
got to
know.
hold strong, man.
Every once in a blue moon, I'll respond, but I'm pretty good at ignoring it on the Twitter page.
I will say some of the Dodger fans, and this isn't a shot at all Dodger fans, but some of the Dodgers fans that I met or we met at the game, it was just like,
Kind of
what is wrong with
jackasses.
you? Yeah, like
I feel
they
like it's
thought they were
more.
hotty toddy. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I feel like Midwest, specifically Wisconsin fandom, is just like the Midwest nice thing, and I think that we had an intern from LA who was like a Dodgers fan, not really, he's from LA at work, and it feels like it's just kind of they just talk shit. It's just a thing almost. It's not like it's almost like you have to talk shit when you watch sports. I don't know, even if it's harmless. But yeah, we met some assholes at the game.
They were like, they just like didn't even understand how the bleachers worked. It was just like, like, what are you doing here, man? Like, you probably just randomly bought a ticket, never been here before, and then you're acting like you own the place. It was very interesting. So that's not a shot at Dodger fans, but just our experience. I will say our Cubs fan experiences in NLDS game two, I don't think they were bad at all.
No,
Yeah, no, they were
it's
pretty
it's
nice. So
honestly it's a small percentage of jackasses, and I'm sure
yeah.
there's a small percentage of Brewer jackasses too. But
Oh, I'm sure there are too. I mean, don't get me started on the lady from the what is that NLCS game one.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
woof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
No,
not even get into
No,
that.
no, it's not.
but that's what I was gonna say. I mean, every fan base has the same losers. I mean, we
Right.
saw you see it all year on Twitter. The Brewers, half the fan accounts are like
Yeah.
secret hate accounts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. I won't. I mean, as much as I will say I think it's everywhere. Maybe I'm biased, but I do also think that the Dodgers and Cubs might be prime examples of maybe
I
some of the
think
ones
it's
that are more
more,
entitled, perhaps. But
I will say
um,
Dodgers for sure. It's more concentrated. And they had by far the worst crowds in the playoffs I've seen so far.
yeah.
So
There was
they have no
the
room to
whole upper
talk.
deck was empty in game
Yeah.
three. And
They got
people
no
were
room
like,
to
yeah,
there's
talk there.
traffic. And then somebody posted a highlight from like the 2014 NLCS or some shit
It's
where
definitely a
Puig hit a
spoiled.
triple in the third inning and it was packed and loud. And it's just like they got spoiled, you know? It just is what it
Definitely,
is.
definitely a spoiled thing. But
Like
yeah.
they just got too used to winning, which I would hate to
whatever.
have that happen to us.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that one, Kian.
No, I'm not too worried about it. They handled us. And again, it's hard for me to say nice things about a team that, quote unquote buys a championship. They don't. They develop well. There's other rich teams. But it's tough for me to say good things, but man, Shohei Ohtani is just, it cannot be overstated how insane he is. The fact that he doesn't just pitch and hit, that he's like the best, not the actual best, but one of the best at both. Pretty incredible. So, but unless you guys have anything else to add to that, I figured we just talk positives a little bit about mostly Chourio and Miz, like I said, and a little Durbin, little Bowers. Just wanted to pump up our guys who did play well. Um, Jackson Chourio has played 12 career postseason games over the 2 seasons. Of course, this year was on a
Yeah, but
bum
what
hammy.
happened next?
Yeah, I know. Of course, it was on a bum hammy, but
That
I
actually
actually
was weird.
had a
That was
Brewers
weird. The
fan tell
second
me,
hammy thing was really weird. Like
yeah,
the fact that
odd that it was a cramp.
he like hopped straight out of the game and then was just fine. I mean, I guess that kind of did happen twice, but very just odd.
So he's got 47 plate appearances in his postseason career. It's a 341 batting average and a 1044 OPS, 15 hits, 4 homers, 11 runs batted in, and a stolen base. So um, pretty cool. And then Miz, a lot of question marks with him coming into the playoffs. Could have the quote unquote the Miz inning, and he dominated. So 3 games, 12 innings pitched, just 2 earned runs, 16 strikeouts in those 12 innings, only 3 walks and 7 hits. Got as high as 104.3, I want to say that I heard. But yeah, absolutely dominant. So that was good to see.
I will say when we were at NLDS game two and he came in just flame throwing, it almost was like, oh, this is cool, you know. And then he just like stayed in the game and just kept doing well, even though in that game he had more balls thrown than strikes for like the first 3 innings, and then finally in his last inning, or the first two, and then in his last inning he threw more strikes than balls. It was real close, even if it might have been even, but it was like 20-20, and I was like, how do you succeed like that? And then he came out again in game five and just fucking dominated. So I think
When he throws
him getting
strikes,
through the first couple innings, but his it wasn't even throwing strikes. He was dotting the
oh
slider on the
yeah.
outside corner. I mean, it was masterful. So good for him, and hopefully he can take that into next year. Like I've done it in the biggest spot. Now let me do it for hopefully like 25 starts.
Yeah. We definitely had some high spots. I don't know if we're talking about any of the
I was
not
gonna,
so.
well, once we're done with the positives, I kind of wanted to transition into my main question on the negative side. And again, I'm not huge on questioning pitching decisions, but the opener thing just kind of got overdone to me, and I don't love starting Aaron Ashby as many times as we did when he did not pitch well. I get it that Priester was shaky, and the Miz going in the playoffs was shaky, but I just like I don't know, whatever. It's over with now. It didn't really matter in the Dodgers series, but um, Aaron Ashby did not pitch well, and there was a lot of guys in the Dodgers series. Don't know if you noticed, did not hit well either. Not going to put it totally on them, but there's a lot of negatives that we could talk about, and it's hard for me to single anyone out. But yeah, it was tough to see a guy like Aaron Ashby or even Abner at the end get rolled out there with high pitch counts and kind of struggle a little bit. Maybe not their fault, but I didn't like that decision. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to add. There wasn't much we could change from a player or managerial standpoint that would have won us that series anyway. So
I it's easy to hate on the Ashby thing, but I think the part that gets me is NLCS game two. Abner comes in to get one out after throwing 2 days. He
yeah,
literally, it was Saturday to what, Monday was
Monday,
game one,
yeah,
which he threw in. So he threw 2 innings in game five,
and then he got the
an
last
inning,
out.
an inning in game one, and then he got the last out. And I was like, okay, 3 times in 4 days, whatever. And then they brought him back out for the seventh, and it
Yeah, and they were
essentially
down
cost
what
him the game.
4-3 to 1 at that point, and he gave up a run.
I think it was 2-1, and then he gave up another run. Then they brought Ashby in, and Ashby gave up another run, which might have been credited to Abner.
Yeah, and then not again, I can't really blame Abner for all of this because he was rolled out there so many times. But Monday he walks in a run, and
Yeah, that was
then
bad.
Tuesday did he throw a ball away on Tuesday in game two?
Yeah.
He definitely threw a ball
No,
away in
just
game
game
three
three.
on a
Yeah,
pickoff.
sorry, that was Thursday.
Yeah, so not helping himself, but yeah.
I saw a stat too where it was like trying to pick somebody off like in the playoffs is like the worst possible
Yeah.
move you could make. Just step off.
And he wasn't going
The,
anywhere. There were two outs.
the
Um
success to
in
error rate is
I would love
astronomically higher that you're going to throw the ball away.
I would love
I,
to know how, like, the number on how few steals there are compared to the regular season, because it seems like no one steals anymore. I feel like that's an analytics thing. It's weird to me that in the playoffs it just goes away.
because you're trying
Um,
to hit the long ball. So as
right.
many guys as you can have on the base paths when you do that is,
Yeah, it's just
I
weird to me
assume, more
that teams get
beneficial.
so comfortable doing it in the regular season and then so not comfortable with it in the playoffs. I don't know.
Well, who was it in game one or two of the CS? Durbin? Or maybe that was,
I think it was Durbin.
somebody got thrown out in the playoffs and it was like in a decent spot too. It might have been game five.
Yeah, I think it's just tough in
I
the
don't know.
play, like especially when you're playing a team like the Dodgers,
Yeah.
like your base runners are so limited. I get trying to stretch or trying to steal and get to second, so you're in scoring position, but at the same time, like if you blow that, the odds of us getting another guy on were, I don't know, it was weird. But definitely different than how we approach the regular season, and I think that's something people um have been talking about or they were concerned about even prior to the playoffs, is if we'd ha keep the same approach into the playoffs.
I guess once they got down 0-2, I remember Durbin did end up stealing a bag later in the series, but then I believe Perkins walked and then there was a line out double play. It's just it didn't work out in their favor, and it just kind of goes back to nothing went right for them
Yeah.
at all in that Dodger series. I mean, it's just the worst possible scenario every time happened.
And then last positive, we don't need to dive into them really, but I just wanted to shout out Andrew Vaughn had a couple big homers, including in the Game 5 clincher, and then Jake Bauers, plug and play, came in with almost a huge homer, but almost a huge double too. It was in that Game 1 where they ended up not scoring him, but just two more shout outs right there to those guys. And then obviously Durbin, like I said, just he seemed to be the only guy who was not phased. So coming from a rookie who played D3 baseball to looking unfazed in his first playoffs, pretty cool. So I know that we all want to watch game seven of Mariners Blue Jays. So we don't have to stick around too long. It is 1-1 right now in the bottom of the first. And Blue Jays
Ooh,
have
way to
runners on.
jinx it. I
So
was going to restart it when I went out there.
oh, my bad. Well, it's
Nah,
tied.
fuck it.
Anyways, and obviously the Dodgers await the winner of that series between Seattle and Toronto. Seattle is looking for their first World Series appearance ever, I believe. So, um,
They are
yeah,
the
but
last team in Major League Baseball to not reach a World Series.
all that to say, yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know if I want to lower the list of teams who don't have a World Series. I kind of would like the Brewers to win one first, but all that to say, you guys got any other takeaways about the playoffs or anything else before we'll probably regroup after the World Series and start to talk about the Brewers off season more in depth. But that's really all I had about the playoffs. Not the worst playoff run that I've ever seen from them, but still, ultimately, when you don't get back to the World Series, a little bit of a bummer.
Nobody gives a shit if you lose the last game of the year. Moneyball.
Uh, it's true. I just wanted to, I guess, ask you guys if you, I guess, what you thought of the broadcast teams, because I think Ron Darling stunk, but I also really don't want BA to call our series in the playoffs. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's tough for
realize
him. Like his Dodgers calls at first weren't good, and then in the
no.
Shohei game, it was impossible to not have them be good. But it felt weird for him. It felt weird for us. It was like,
Yeah.
and then us underperforming meant like he just had to mope through it. It seemed like, and obviously BA is the man, and he's good at his job. But yeah, I just there's enough guys out there. I feel like they should find a way to not have a team's announcer call their games on a national broadcast. Personally,
But
That
then
was
we would
my
have
first time.
literally no people that would even know who's
yeah,
on our team. Ron Darling was horrendous in
Yeah,
the Cubs series. I
I
mean,
think Darling's
just
just not good.
yeah,
glazing the
and
Cubs,
Frank
dude.
is not good,
I
but
don't know that Darling was purposely trying to do that. I think he's just not a great announcer. I
Yeah,
think Brian Anderson's a great announcer, and those early Dodgers homers, I was obviously at a lot of these games, but seeing the highlights later, those are the only times in my life in any sport, I think, because he does March Madness really well too, where I was like, man, BA sounds like shit. Like, so I
Yeah.
truly think to your point, it was getting to him a little bit or just out of his comfort zone. So yeah, I agree.
I think it's for any team too.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, yeah,
and like I guess other than the Dodgers, yes, the announcers are gonna know most of their lineup and what's going on. But like any national crew,
yeah.
unless they're actually really, really good at their job, which somehow isn't the case these days, isn't going to know a lot about the ins and outs of teams anyways. Like even Cruz bopping in on the Dodgers, like for some of their bullpen or some of that, like I heard some stuff that I think wasn't true about how they'd been pitching recently and so on. And then obviously for the Brewers, it's the case. And then obviously, I don't know, there's just a lot of slightly uninformed, but I think Brewers fans, I guess, know who, what happened and don't need a national broadcast to tell them that. So I don't know. I'm not as worried about that, but
Well, it's kind of odd to hear the announcer that you hear every day for the last 2 decades to call the World Series for the other team, like them advancing. But to
hmm
that point, it would be nice, and obviously it's a money thing at this point, but it would be
yeah,
nice to have an alternate broadcast with your home announcers. But
they
then
do.
again,
It's called the radio. Isn't that
no
what
one
people
would
always say?
watch no one would watch the national broadcast that pays all the money to broadcast the games or however that works. So but yeah, I would
I don't know.
maybe
I mean, they do it
maybe I
with
wouldn't
March
prefer
Madness, don't they?
maybe if it was Dillard and maybe I wouldn't want to watch it, but I
Don't
like
they do
to
it with March Madness?
no.
I think
They
in the
do it
Final
with
Four, I thought they
they
did.
do it
NBA
with the first
M-
round of the NBA
NBA.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh,
First
Yeah.
round only. And I will say, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure BA called the Brewers loss in the 2011 NLCS
No,
against the
I
Cardinals.
think 2000 I think it was 2008 against the Phillies, I think.
2008 against the Phillies
I
was
think.
his time to shine.
Well, yeah,
I
but
remember it was one of the early series we
mhm.
lost, and I don't remember anybody being. If it was a problem then, when he was doing it like 150 games a year. Now when he does it, what
Yeah.
I'm not
30?
saying it's a problem. It just feels weird
No.
because like it's not tailored to us. It's tailored to a national crowd, but he obviously still kind of. I mean, I'm not personally. I don't really care. I'm just saying I feel like it's kind of weird. But like, I'm not mad that
Yeah.
he's calling the games for my own sake. I'm just saying for a national broadcast, it's kind of weird. Like,
Don't worry, Joe Davis is about to call the World Series for the Dodgers, so that'll be so weird for the Dodger fans. 2 years in a row,
Yeah.
and three out of the last four, right? Yeah, such a shame. And Joe
20
Buck was a Cardinals fan, wasn't he? And he used to
yeah,
call the
but
Cardinals games all the time.
I don't. Okay,
17, 18, 20, 21.
No,
I'm right.
21 was Astros Braves.
Oh yeah.
nice.
17, 18, 20, 23, 24, 20. Did it? No.
Who won the World Series 2 years ago? Oh, that was Texas
Oh, that was
and
Diamondbacks.
yeah,
Yeah.
Texas and
So this is their
Diamondbacks.
fifth. Yeah, this is their no, this is their fourth in 9 years. I don't know.
It sounds like a lot. Imagine having that problem being like, how many
Yeah.
times did we go to the
Went
World Series in the last
Dodgers,
9 years?
Dodgers, Nationals, Dodgers, Braves. Who was 2022?
Astros, Dodgers,
No, Phillies. Phillies.
Phillies,
Uh,
Astros. Yes,
Astros over Phillies, right? In 2022. And then
yeah,
2023 was D-backs. 2024 was Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Okay. Anyways. All right. That's all I had. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah, no, it's Jover, as they say.
Another postseason loss, but it is less painful than the last few. We're building. We got a young squad that won a lot of games, so we'll be all right. We'll be back. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys probably after the World Series in a couple weeks. Go Brewers.
Go
Oh,
AL.
Brewers.